the fact that they hit back in the manner that they did is going to hold them in really good stead. And you suspect they'll play finals, or who knows, in this crazy season. But what Collingwood are able to do will be the story of the night. And I just got a sense that the defence, which looked a bit almost gone when Hawthorn beat them by 60-odd points a couple of weeks ago, the defence is alive.
Yeah, they showed a bit last week in terms of their defence, but also their offence and getting that fast ball movement up, which is predominantly based around their small half forwards and their wings as well. We saw more of it tonight. So that offensive side is building as well, which works into their defensive side too.
Right, let's go down to the Collingwood rooms to the man of the moment. He's probably just about had a gutful of doing interviews, but when he's thinking about the script last night, maybe laying awake, I don't reckon you saw it unfold like this, Pendles. On behalf of everyone at Fox Footy, mate, congratulations, an extraordinary night.
Yeah, thank you. Sort of our story the last couple of years. We find ourselves in close games. So, to be honest, the week was pretty big, but coming in tonight, I felt really relaxed and, confident we found a little bit of form last week. And, was really excited for the game tonight against Carlton. A lot was on the line for both sides and, glad that the toss of the coin went our way at the end there.
Right on, Pendles. Congratulations. You've had a great career to date. Obviously, you've got plenty more to come, hopefully. How did you feel tonight in game? Once the actual, when the whips were cracking, did it feel any different?
No, to be honest, once the siren started, it felt normal. In terms of my legs and energy, I felt great out there. It did feel like a finals-like atmosphere out there. So it's always exciting to play in those games. And so in terms of energy expenditure, I was probably Wednesday night. I think I was cooked, but luckily we had a day off Thursday and was able to relax a little bit. The kids were out of the house and Alex had work, so I had the house to myself and just chilled out for the day.
Pendles, congratulations, 400 games and obviously a great win. Fascinated to know what you were saying to Nick Dacos. 3 minutes to go. He's sort of we know you're the general out there on the field, but you were pointing to Nick Dacos at the stoppage on the far wing and started asking him to step away from the stoppage. What was going through that communication line there?
I don't know if you guys could see, but they were pulling us all defensive side and trying to rush through that attacking side of the stoppage. So obviously Nick had a tag with him, so had to sacrifice his game a little bit, but felt like if we could have a body there, it stops that momentum where they're just surging from defensive side of the stoppage all the way through. So I thought Nick was fantastic, put himself there, another body, another group of people that Carlton had to try and rush through.
Pendles, congratulations. I think as you get older, you probably get a better chance to reflect when you're in the moment. When you're young, you probably reflect at the end of something that's happening. Have you had a chance to reflect and you only see that photo that you took during the week with all the other 400-game players and you sit absolutely comfortable with them? How's the week been just reflecting in the moments that you've had?
Yeah, as I said, like Wednesday was a really big day. I took it all in though, and I was so grateful just for all the support, the messages, people down the street. When I've been down the street, everyone's been so kind to me and wished me all the best for tonight. And I've had a chance to sit back with my family and talk about my career to date. And it's been filled with everything you could ask for, and hopefully there's another little bit left to write.
Yeah, after this win, the energy that this will obviously drive for the last 3 games, in your mind, what's possible this year? Is there still this hunger inside this group?
Oh, absolutely. I think we showed it tonight. Our best footy stacks up. We had large portions of that game where we were well and truly in control. We probably couldn't get much scoreboard dominance for that, but this group's really confident in what we can achieve, but we know that we've put ourselves in a position where every week's really important for us. So if we keep winning, I think we're going to be okay, but we've got to keep winning in what is a really tricky competition at the moment.
We've spoken about how you felt pre-game. We've spoken about how you felt during the game. How were you feeling when Mitch McGovern was having that shot after the siren, mate?
I sort of just laughed and put my hands out as we have no control of what's about to happen. And my mind did flash back to a game where he took a hanger against us when he was playing for Adelaide and slotted it. So, I just sat there and watched, and it was a little bit of an awkward one. I didn't really want to celebrate too hard because, obviously he was going to be really disappointed. So I made sure to get across to Mitch and, tell him that at least he put himself in that position to have a go for it. And we were on the right end of what is a pretty lucky result.
One of Fly's rituals after the game is to go home, enjoy a nice bottle of red and watch the replay. Does he get a bottle of the Pendlebury juice?
Absolutely, he does. He gets a bottle of the Pendlebury juice. He can drink that tonight on my behalf, and I think I'll be asleep in the car on the way home.
Yeah, well, you deserve it, and congratulations. Still work to be done, but it's a super special night tonight, one you'll remember forever. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate the support, guys. Thank you.
Scott Pendlebury, there it is. As we said, there's been milestone games, and there's been plenty of them. I doubt whether there's been one as dramatic as that.
He had pretty handy numbers as well. He had a fair influence on the game. It was fantastic.
Let's have a look at his game.
Yeah, 27 touches and nearly 500 metres gained. Like so. And from the get-go, you know, he's the director out there, and they had their backs against the wall early because Carlton were fantastic. They had a lot of territory early. He went to work just to try and get the game back in Collingwood's favour.
Well, we went to half back as well, and that's the thing is that I think he puts himself wherever he needs to. It was fascinating that he could out on the ground see that Carlton were coming through the stoppage. We had the best view of that. And I nearly jumped the fence and high-fived him if they'd gone through. But he could see that Carlton were coming out the front of the stoppage, so he thought, well, what to do here? Do I go and put myself there? Oh, no, someone's getting tagged, Nick Dacos. I'm going to put him there. But him and Dacos just have this ability to bring other players into the game, and that is the best thing you can do. They're force multiplier for your teammates and make your other teammates look great.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive thing is there's just no limping to the line in any way, shape or form. So he's playing game number 400, and he goes and stands next to and plays on the Brownlow medal favourite. So that's the level of faith and the level of trust that they've got in him and his body to be able to do that, and he's had an impact.
I think the worst he looked as was 2020. He's looked good for 3 or 4 years. 2020, he looked like he was in a bit of trouble in that final series, that COVID year. But now he looks like he's found another gear.
I think this is what happens when, and I learned more about Scott Pendlebury this week than I've known because I read all the articles and stuff, and I knew he was professional. I knew he had a great attention to detail. But I think as you get older, you get to understand your body better and what works for you and what doesn't, and you're probably crossing the T's and dotting more I's than you ever have in your career because you know you have to. And he's running as well as he has. He's covering the ground as well as he has, and I don't think he's committed to next year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes beyond.
How do you reckon our mate here's feeling? He gave Pendlebury's wine a bit of a pump up, hoping that he'd return the serve for DML, but he didn't give you any pump up back to.
No, he gave me a bottle of wine. It's a beautiful juice.
No, I think you had a bit of promo for yourself there.
No, I think the other thing with Pendlebury, and you speak to Bucks about him, who knows him really well, is he's just, in terms of his emotions, just neutral. Never gets too high, never gets too low, and that's the challenge with professional sport, is to not ride those waves. And probably a credit to why, or certainly an attribute to making that 400 mark.
So Bobby Hill was really important, a Norm Smith medalist, and almost symbolic, I reckon. So he got back to the sort of form that had Collingwood winning the premiership last year. And I guess this is the question I'm getting at tonight, and we'll go through some other stuff. But when Hawthorn beat them by 66 points a couple of weeks ago, it looked like the premiership defence was over, right? Now they come out here and play with this energy that was symptomatic of them last year. So I'm looking at that going, that energy and that pressure and that enjoyment in each other's performance can take you a long way, but it demands so much of you. When you haven't won a premiership, you get yourself up for it. Can they go back to the well again next week and emotionally invest as much as they did in this? Well, that's the only query.
Yeah, I think they've got a sniff now, September, haven't they, guys? They've got a sniff again of what their best footy is, and we'll talk about it a bit more as the week goes on. They're looking better now ahead of the ball, aren't they? Yeah, a lot of injuries ahead of the ball. 4 or 5 of their best forwards out week on, week out. Now, Cox back in. McStay gets back. Now, all of a sudden, Bobby Hill can go back to playing his normal role.
He had a mountain of space tonight.
Yeah, well, he can get out to the open side.
Get out to the open side. So those critical contests on the wing with all that space really allowed him. I think the De Goey injury, I know he hasn't played every single game this year, but that for me just has that cloud probably still hanging over. And you're right, the emotion to be able to back up. They've got a tough run. Sydney bouncing back after the disappointment, then Brisbane and Melbourne.
Sydney mightn't turn up.
That's probably as tough as it gets.
Between the arcs, they turned the footy over and scored, which was really significant through the course of the evening for the Pies.
Well, I think when they're playing their best, those defenders come forward. So we've mentioned they've played a spare behind the ball for the majority of the night. That communication to push the ball forward and then to be able to handball chain out was certainly a big feature of their game in the first half. Now that dried up in the last quarter. They went into probably trying to save the game type of mode, but that's when they're at their dangerous. That midfield turnover, bounce forward, get those options forward of the ball.
It's different to forward half turnover as well, which we know Carlton are so strong on. We spoke about Carlton being really flat in defence. Collingwood have always sort of got that back player that they can rely on, so that when they do rotate to defence, they try and be that proactive
How
style
was
coming
big
up.
tonight?
Jeremy Howe sat behind the ball perfect tonight and just was able to access the contest in front of him, but also access the contest that he was in.
Yeah, it was huge.
Gives you more space to offend as well. So instead of turning the ball over at 50 metres out, which sometimes thinks like a good idea because it's close to goal, actually turning it over at 90 metres out allows you more space for offence. So then you can get a bit wider, you can get a bit longer, and make your opposition have to defend a bigger patch of grass.
And Carlton conceding stoppage goals been an issue for them throughout the year. This one that ends up with Elliott. Lots of questions to be asked here.
Well, you're right. I mean, Bobby Hill just comes up, puts his defender in Boyd in a really vulnerable position, but you can't fall asleep. So you go there, you get drawn into the contest, and this is what Collingwood did so well, is they just maintained space and didn't get stuck in congestion. Once again, you see that, the gap between Bobby Hill and Boyd, you ball watch, and you've got to expect the worst in this, and then it's just a little bit of class forward of the ball to Hoskin Elliott, and then that was a goal. So you've got to play the play out until either you win the ball or someone scores.
We were watching Charlie Curnow late. Now, he went off the ground with an ankle. I know you were urging him to get more involved. We don't know how bad the ankle is, but the reality is this. He's been held goalless tonight for the first time in 66 matches. So that's almost 3 years of footy since he's been held goalless. I think the ankle injury obviously has contributed to it, but he wasn't even towards the end where he could have gone to the goal square and just stood in the goal square and hopefully drawn a free kick if in fact the ball went there. So
I think he goes looking for easy spots. And you don't get easy spots.
The ball doesn't go to easy spots.
Well, it doesn't go to easy spots, that's right. When players are under pressure up the field, you've got to put yourself more in line. So, yes, granted the injury, okay, but I'm just talking in general, Gaz. We spoke about it last year with his final series. He's got to make it easier for his teammates to get him the ball in critical moments.
So is that his positioning, Brownie? So, because at the moment, for me, looking here, it looks like he sets himself up for the perfect kick. He's always hoping for the perfect kick. Now, whether that's sort of hoping for a 45-metre kick off the line that's really hard to do, or a lot of the one going back. I'd love to just see him sort of be a ground and pound forward, stick yourself between the goals and where the ball is, kick it to me, I'm either going to mark it or I'm going to bring it to ground.
Well, it's hopefully the ankle's okay, so let's just put that on the agenda. We don't know the extent of the injury and we hope he comes through okay, but he's going to be a watch as we head towards September. So he needs one of those big games that he's had throughout the home and away in the September setting.
Opens the Coleman medal race up as well. That's the other one. Tonight.